Did you know that a 22-year-old young Indian woman in the year 1942 had set up an underground radio station in India to carry out propaganda against the British Raj? Let's hear her story. The woman I am talking about is Usha Mehta. Usha Mehta was born in Gujarat in the year 1920. She came from a family of nationalists, people who believed in the cause of India's freedom from the British Empire. Her parents moved to Bombay, the city that was then known as Bombay, which is now known as Mumbai, in the year 1928. In 1928, when she was only 8 years old, that Usha Mehta first shouted slogans against the British. She said, "Go back, Simon." That was one of the famous slogans that Indians uttered during that period against the Simon Commission. When she turned 20 years old, she got more and more involved with the freedom struggle. And in 1942, when she was only 22, Mahatma Gandhi launched his Quit India movement. This girl, Usha Mehta, was then studying to be a lawyer in Bombay, and Mahatma Gandhi was staying at Mani Bhavan, and it was from a Maidan very close to Girgaon Chowpatty and bank opposite Mani Bhavan called the Gowalia Tank Maidan. It was at this Maidan that Mahatma Gandhi, on the 8th of August 1942, launched his Quit India movement. The day he launched that movement, there was a massive crackdown against the leadership of the Indian National Congress. This was the organization that was the biggest mass organizer of the Indian freedom movement. And Gandhi was its number one leader. Gandhi was sent to jail immediately. Jawaharlal Nehru was sent to jail immediately. Vallabhbhai Patel was sent to jail immediately. And the jails across India were soon filled with thousands of prisoners. Thousands of prisoners who were Congress workers, who were freedom fighters. Usha Mehta wondered what she could do. Because a majority of Congress leaders and functionaries had been jailed, she felt that it was up to the youngsters in the party, in the Congress organization, to do something, to keep the messaging going. How was that going to be possible? She thought of an idea of setting up an underground radio station. Now, how was an underground radio station going to be built? For that, you needed to be extremely discreet, secretive, you needed a good organization, and you needed resources to put up that radio station. So she spoke to some of her associates. There was an associate of hers in Mumbai called Babubhai Thakkar. There were two other associates, both Jhaveris, who came together with her, and they thought up an idea. There was a man called Nariman Printer. He had all the radio technology with him. He had radio transmitters with him. He was an expert in radio engineering. So they thought, why not ask him? They went to him, and his interest was not in the Indian freedom struggle at all. His interest was primarily and almost wholly commercial, and he agreed to give them technology for a certain price. So with the help of local businessmen, they collected some resources and got a radio transmitter from Nariman Printer. Now the transmitter was in place, but what to do with the transmitter? How to start the station? They needed a place. So they found a place on the top floor of a building called Sea View, which was bank opposite Girgaon Chowpatty. On the top floor of that building, this equipment was set up, the transmitter was put up, and Usha Mehta, only days after the launch of the Quit India movement, one fine day she said, "This is the Congress radio from 42.34. That was the frequency for the radio. Welcome to the Congress radio." That's the message that she sent out. Soon, the Congress cadre sent across the message that on such and such a frequency, you could get to hear the Congress radio. And the Congress radio started broadcasting its messages across the country. It broadcast 2 bulletins every day, one in the mornings and one in the evening. They gave out news of different kinds. The press was then completely gagged. the press could not report everything that was happening outside. The Raj had launched a massive crackdown against the Indians, and the newspapers didn't have much of a voice. So whenever atrocities happened against the Indians, whenever a whole lot of arrests happened against the Indians, wherever people got killed, or wherever people bravely carried out defiant protests, this Congress radio station put out the news about all of that. And increasingly, more and more Indians started tuning into that technology. The technology was pretty new for India because radio technology had come to India only in 1923. But still, Congress radio became very, very popular from August 1942 onwards. Soon, because the Raj was chasing them all the time and wanted to find out where they were transmitting from, they needed to keep things as secret as possible. So they started transmitting the messages or doing their bulletins only once in the day, in the evenings. They would broadcast speeches of National Congress leaders, speeches of support that the Indian freedom fighters had heard about, leaders abroad had given about the Indian freedom struggle. And they also started playing Sare Jahan Se Acha at the start of the news bulletin. And at the end of the news bulletin every day, they played Vande Mataram, which was the national song. Soon the Raj was trying to figure out where this radio was being transmitted from. And in October that year, they eventually found out and they entered the building in which these people had set up their radio station. A team of 50 police officials of the Raj stormed the house and entered it. Usha Mehta was then transmitting live, and she was just putting on Vande Mataram. When they came in, they said the British official, the police official who came in told her, "Stop this record. Stop recording this at once." And she said, "No, this is our national song. It's being played. So all of you better stand at attention." That was the kind of defiance that Usha Mehta demonstrated. A girl who was only 22 years her age. She was immediately arrested. Her associates were also arrested. The radio transmitter was confiscated. All the other equipment was also confiscated. Usha Mehta was imprisoned for a period of 4 years. She was kept in Pune's Yerawada prison for 4 years until 1946, when almost all the leaders associated with the Quit India movement were eventually released. This story of the Congress radio and its messaging, its messages, its campaign against the Raj went viral in those days, and it became hugely popular. It became a source of immense inspiration for Indians who were very upset that their entire national leadership was behind bars. So the Congress radio, which was also known as the ghost radio by many people, the underground radio station kept the morale of the Indians going. Very fascinating story of the Congress radio, or the underground radio station, which a bunch of youngsters ran from one building in Girgaon Chowpatty in South Mumbai, in one corner of India, and inspired all of India during those critical months of 1942 when the national leadership was behind bars. That's it for today, friends. This is Vaibhav Purandare signing off. If you like this video, do subscribe to my channel if you haven't still subscribed, and do press the bell button for notifications on the next videos.